Hotep Sinuhena Senut, E.T. RNE, chacun de Kukemet, greetings to all. I hope you're doing well. I want to address the hieroglyphic being the ancestor of Western civilization's script. Now, first, the author of the article that I will go through is called Orly Goldwasser. Now, for the French speakers or those who ever came to France, there are two main airports around Paris. Charles de Gaulle in Roissy. They usually say Paris or Paris. Charles de Gaulle, but it's not actually located in Paris. And there's another one called Orly Airport, Orly. Well, it is spelled the same. Of course, I'm not saying it's related. So you do have a Wikipedia entry for this lady, for this professor, but we will see her credentials on the university. So it will be it will be the fourth result. And I will have to enlarge it, but it says the Hebrew. Let me see if it's large enough. It says the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Okay. So that's the Institute of Archaeology. And here we do have Professor Orly Goldwasser, who is the head of the Department of Egyptology, Ancient Near Eastern Languages and Cultures. And after the email address and a link to her personal website, we are told that she is a full professor at the Institute of Archaeology. She's an Egyptologist and researcher of ancient Egypt, honorary professor at Göttingen University, Germany. So we are done with her credentials. Now, to find the article that I will quote, if you type in how the alphabet was born from hieroglyphs, it's an article that I to know thanks to Brother Garfield. You actually have two versions. You have two versions. Now, I will go through the second link, but you do have her article on academia, which is the third link. Okay? The second link, the PDF version that I will go through, actually has some response of another scholar. So now, let's go through the article. Let me share the screen. Ah, it's large enough, isn't it? Okay. So this article is taken from BAR, which stands for Biblical Archaeology Review, from March, April 2010. Now, the first quote will be on page 4 of the PDF. Oh, my bad. Okay, that's fair enough. The expedition list at Serabit also contained the names of many interpreters, The presence of these dragomans is strong evidence that some language barrier must have existed. The hundreds of recorded donkeys that served as pack animals were probably driven by Asiatic caravan experts who would be able to direct turquoise shipments back to Egypt. And no doubt, Asiatic soldiers in Egyptian service escorted these caravans. The bottom line, there were surely many more Canaanites at Serabit than are listed as such in the hieroglyphic inscriptions at the site. One final note, nowhere in the many inscriptions at the site is there a mention of slaves. Canaanites, yes. Slaves, no. That's interesting. Now, to put it into context, because many will not read the full article, the site, Serabit, is where people used to collect turquoise, which is a metal, precious stone that was kind of prized. So we had some Asiatics that used to work on those sites to collect the turquoise. Okay. Now the second quote is the next page, page 5 of the PDF. So she's asking how was it done, talking about um the coming up of what we know as the alphabet, which derived from the hieroglyphic or the Medu Neter. Although, as I believe, the alphabet was invented by Canaanites, we still owe a significant debt to the Egyptians, for it was Egyptian hieroglyphs that provided the trigger and the means that made the invention of the alphabet possible. And last paragraph of page 5. In 1916, some 10 years later, Sir Alan Gardiner, the famous English Egyptologist, noticed a group of four signs that was frequently repeated in these unusual inscriptions. Gardiner correctly identified the repetitive group of signs as a series of four letters in an alphabetic script that represented a word in a Canaanite language. You notice she wrote, the author wrote, the professor wrote Canaanite language, not Hebrew. Ba LT, vocalized as Baalat, meaning the mistress. Gardiner suggested that Baalat was the Canaanite appellation for Hathor, the goddess of the turquoise mines. And then she goes on to ask, were these inscriptions carved by Canaanite workmen? Now, to give some context here, you have a picture of Petrie. He has a museum in his name within the premises of the University of London. Not very easy to find, quite small, but interested. I'm sorry, interesting, and I had the opportunity to go there. I have a few pictures. So he went over there to Egypt with his wife, and his wife noticed those symbols, and the rest is history. But you have the full article to go into details. Now, next quote will be from page 6, and it will be the last paragraph. Now, you see this Sphinx right here. For those who learn the Medu, we do have a square with a smaller square at the top left corner, and inside we have a falcon. This is the glyph for Hetheru or Hether or Huther or Hutheru, which the Greeks called Hathor. Okay, and at the bottom you might recognize right here where the cursor is the plow or the HOE followed by the two reed leaf. That spells Mary, which means beloved. Now at the bottom here, you have a line and you have A. Now this is the Canaanite inscription. So the professor tells us an important key to the decipherment was a unique bilingual inscription. It is inscribed on a small sphinx from the temple and features a short inscription with what appears to be parallel text in Egyptian and in the new script. The Egyptian hieroglyphic inscription on the sphinx reads, "The beloved of Hathor, the mistress of turquoise." The text in the strange script, now identified as Canaanite text, reads, Mahbalat, the beloved of Baalat. You notice once again that the professor wrote Canaanite text, not Hebrew. Next quote will be on page 7, fourth paragraph. I will read those two paragraphs here. The alphabet was invented in this way by Canaanites at Serabit in the Middle Bronze Age, in the middle of the 19th century BCE, probably during the reign of Amenemhat. They put Amenemhet, but it is Amenemhat. The third of the 12th dynasty. We are reasonably confident about the place of the invention because almost all of the examples of the new script, which we may now identify by the name scholars call it Proto-Sinaitic, come from this one side. And you've noticed once again, Proto-Sinaitic, not Proto-Hebrew. That's just for the record. Next quote will be page 8, last paragraph. The inventors at Serabit clearly used models of hieroglyphs taken from the taken from the Egyptian Middle Kingdom inscriptions around them. The Proto-Sinaitic pictograms were adapted from the hieroglyphic pictograms and appear mostly in the area of the turquoise mines and the roads leading to the mines. Next quote will be on page 10. So here you have a chart that I have used as a thumbnail for my previous video. On my website, you have the address in the description. You also have it in the middle of your screen. You just need to add /English, but you do have the link anyway to the English part of the website. Once again, in the description of this video and the others as well. If you go all the way to the bottom, you will read Meduneta, origin of the Greek and Latin alphabet. So you will see one chart from the book Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization by Anthony Browder. You will see another chart by a scholar, and I forgot his name. And there's a new edition now of this particular chart by the professor Goldwasser. And we are told, mostly by taking Egyptian hieroglyphs as pictorial models, the Canaanite inventors of the alphabet used the small selection of pictograms they chose in a completely new way, with no reference to and no knowledge of the correct reading of the signs in Egyptian. And this is a good summary of her position. Okay, that they basically try to imitate the signs and they ascribe phonetic values to those signs using the first sound of those graphemes. And lastly, the last paragraph of page 19. So I'll put 19 here, and the last paragraph. During the 9th century BCE, the alphabet became the official script of the entire Near East. With its adoption, first for Greek and later for Latin, the alphabetic script invented in the milieu of Canaanite miners in the remote Sinai desert became the script of Western civilization. Isn't that interesting? Oh, this is not live, it's supposed to be private. Great. So isn't that interesting? Because many people have probably heard that the term alphabet derives from the Greek alpha, beta, and others will go further in telling you that this derives from the so-called Hebrew or Paleo-Hebrew Aleph, beta. So the term alphabet ultimately derives from the so-called Hebrew. But so far, we haven't seen Hebrew, that's for the record. And we are told that this Canaanite script ultimately derives from the Medu Neter. And it's not the first time that it was told. Now, this professor argues that the script came about from people who are not highly skilled or literate. Well, let's say highly skilled is better. Some other person that has replied, and you have the reply once again, I told you at the beginning of this video, he argues otherwise. But the fact of the matter is that we have several scholars who clearly agree that the script of Western civilization, the alphabet, ultimately derives from the Medu Neter, the hieroglyphic, which is from Africa. Because contrary to what some people amazingly still say to this day, recently I've shown you a comment said from someone who said that Egypt has nothing to do with Africa when it is actually geographically located in Africa. You know, so contrary to what some people say, when they have a strange or unknown location for Africa, for Egypt, whether it's ancient Egypt or Egypt, it's the same location, it hasn't changed. It derives from Africa, so it derives from Africans. And I think it's very interesting. The funny thing is that we have some people who like to label others with some negative terms when they are interested in ancient Egypt. I don't want to repeat that. I don't want to repeat one of the terms because I don't want people to think that I'm having to focus on one particular person. You know, but there you have it. So it would be good if people of African descent will put value on their heritage, or at least the heritage of their motherland. I'm aware that some people argue that the motherland is somewhere else. Some people like to make nice wordplay in saying that Africa is not our home, but it is our throne. So they claim to be indigenous from America and other parts. But that's a few. That's a few. That's some small groups. The majority will know, and science agrees with the fact that humanity started in Africa. So most likely there was some migration out of this place. So that's the origin of people of African descent, and also ultimately people, humanity. Period. You see, so it will be good, I think, for people of African descent to put value on that great legacy. And for those who don't know, I have been giving Medu Nature classes and I am still doing so. So if you are interested, then feel free to send an email to me. You have the email address in the description. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. And if I'm allowed to by the nature, I will definitely holler back at you and I will leave you with some testimonials of the hieroglyphic, or otherwise known as Medu Nature class, some testimonials from one brother and one sister. Hotep.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving middle nature classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video, Kemet and Ma'at, Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Nature class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Nature lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Nature, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody's interested in learning the Meta Nature, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Neture classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class. And all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Neture class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/ma'atforever.